Now to the latest installment of our Common Ground series, where we bring together people with different perspectives who are working together on issues that matter. Today, it's a conversation with two peace activists, one Israeli, one Palestinian, who have transformed personal tragedy into a shared mission for reconciliation amid a conflict that has spanned generations. Maoz Inon's parents were killed by Hamas gunmen in the horrific October 7th terror attacks, and their home was set on fire. Just days after their killing, Maoz spoke up with this message of peace.
I must tell you that I'm not crying for my parents. I'm crying for those who are going to lose their life in this war. We must stop the war. The war is not the answer.
Maoz then got an unexpected message from Aziz Abu Sarah, a Palestinian man who he met just one time. When Aziz was 10 years old, his teenage brother died from internal injuries his family say stemmed from being tortured by the Israeli army. Aziz's message to Maoz read, "Maoz, I'm so sorry to hear about your parents." That message was the beginning of an unexpected partnership and friendship between the two men, who are now the co-authors of the new book, The Future is Peace. Kristen Welker recently sat down with Maoz and Aziz, and she began by asking Maoz what it was like to receive that message from Aziz in his deepest moment of grief after losing his parents.
Aziz reached out to me only 3 days after I lost my parents, and it was literally like a hand reaching out and saving me from drowning into the ocean of sorrow and pain. And since then, we forged a partnership, a friendship, and a brotherhood. And I'm so honored and proud to say that I lost my parents, but I won Aziz. I won Aziz as a brother.
Thank you. Thank you, Maoz.
It's so powerful to see the two of you sitting there together and the bond that you have forged. Aziz, Maoz describes you as his brother now. What was it that made you reach out to him in that moment of desperation?
Well, like Maoz lost his parents, I lost my brother due to torture in Israeli prison when I was 10 years old. He was 19 years old, Taysir. And so I understand that loneliness of grief, that pain, and what unites us is really our grief and our pain, but also our vision for the future. So I felt that in these dark moments, empathy is very important. And I reached out not knowing if Maoz would respond, but he did. And he didn't just respond, he responded with tremendous empathy for people in Gaza, for the suffering there, and for speaking out against war. He was, I think, the first Israeli to do that after October 7th. And we realized that the two of us have a goal for the same future, that our region can be without wars, without death, without suffering, and that the stories of people like us don't exist in the future.
And now the two of you are fighting for peace in the most powerful and extraordinary way. Maoz, let's talk about it. 10 months into the war, you decided to get into a tour van together. You drove for 8 days visiting Israeli and Palestinian cities, which you detail in your book, which I have right here, and I'll just show everyone your book, The Future is Peace. Why did you want to take this journey together, Maoz?
So first, for me, it was part of my healing. It was only, like you say, 10 months after I lost not only my parents, but childhood friends and people I knew my entire life. And it was kind of a journey to healing and to reconciliation. And because both of us are coming from the tourism industry, and we both been through journeys that change our life, we want to manifest it in The Future is Peace. So we are traveling through the Holy Land for 8 days, and each chapter is a day, and each chapter is taking place in a different location. But as we travel through the land, we're also traveling in 4 dimensions of time. We are traveling through Greek mythology, biblical time, and ancient history. We are traveling through the 100 years of conflict. We are traveling through our personal life, loss, pain, and healing. And most important, we are traveling to the future, and we are transforming in those 8 days. We are transforming revenge into reconciliation, despair into hope, and trauma into healing. And that's exactly what it's done to us, and it's done to many, many of the readers of The Future of the Future is Peace that keep sending us messages and approaching us to tell how meaningful the book is for them.
Aziz, give us your perspective. Maoz speaks in such powerful terms about what this journey has meant to him. What has it meant to you, and what has surprised you and impacted you the most?
So we started this journey at Maoz's home and at the graveyard where his parents' remains were buried. And it's such a painful and powerful thing. And then we met with people in his family. I got to meet with his family, and that was very powerful because our relationship extends beyond the two of us to our families as well. And then we went on and met people in the kibbutz who lost family members as well. And then we called my friends from Gaza right as we, can see and hear the bombings. And we called our friends from Gaza, introduced Maoz to some of my friends. And it was incredible because one of the people we met has lost 50 people in his family in bombings there. And yet he was checking on Maoz and he was saying that he supports our work and he wants us to do this work. And this is an important thing for people to hear. Despite so much loss and so much pain and so much trauma, there is a group of people like Abdul Rahim from Gaza, like Maoz's neighbors and family that have come together and said, we have no other alternative. And to me, it's not a surprise, but it's so powerful to recite that and to remind people that these people exist and there is no other alternative. And then we continued the journey, and Maoz came to visit my family, and he got to meet my parents and got to meet my brothers and build that bond as well. So we become a family together, and our families connect with each other as well.
Well, and part of what you address in your book and part of the work that you're focused on is how to solve this problem. And Maoz, you have said that you believe a lot of the misunderstanding comes down to education gaps. Talk about that and how you think that might be fixed.
Yes, I was born and raised in Israel. Until the age of 30, I had not only Palestinian friend, I didn't know any Palestinians. The Palestinian and Israelis, if it's between the Jordan River and Mediterranean Seas, or if the international border of Israel, we live in two segregated communities. And when there is ignorance, like the ignorance I was born and raised within, there is fear. And when there is fear, there is hate. And when there is hate, we human beings can do horrible things to each other. And what I learned after working with Palestinian communities within Israel for more than 20 years is that the first step in reaching a shared vision and a shared future is looking to the other side in the eye and start listening to his stories, start listening to his narrative, pain, suffering, trauma, dreams, and aspiration. And only when we are courageous enough to humanize the other side, that we were born and raised to believe and to know that he's an enemy, he's a monster, only when we are courageous and brave to humanize the other side, we can humanize ourselves and we can start stepping or moving forward to the journey of a lasting peace.
Maoz, really a message for the global community that you just shared. Aziz, I'll give you the final word. You have said you refused to learn Hebrew for a long time because you viewed it as the language of the enemy, but you eventually enrolled in a Hebrew class. What is your message? What is the message you want to leave people with today?
Well, like Maoz, I was 18 years old. First time I met an Israeli who wasn't a soldier and a settler and wasn't part of the occupation of the West Bank. And so I went to study Hebrew, and in that Hebrew class, my teacher treated me like a human being, an Israeli Jewish woman, and recognized my story, recognized who I am. And that is so essential in learning about each other, recognizing the humanity and treating each other as equal, treating each other with dignity. And one of our favorite things we learned in this book as we writing it is poetry. Poetry from Israel, from Palestine. And one of our favorite poems come from Samih al-Qasim, a Palestinian poet. And he talks about the journey. And he says in it, the day I am killed, my killer rifling through my pockets will find travel tickets. One to peace, one to the fields and the rain, and one to the conscience of a humankind. So I beg you, my dear killer, don't ignore them. Do not waste such a thing. I beg you to take these tickets and to go traveling. And this is our message. Please join us in this journey. We cannot have peace in Israel and Palestine, the Middle East, or anywhere in the world unless we come together. We need every American, we need every European. We all part of this journey of creating peace together.
Well, it is an honor to talk to both of you, and we just salute the incredible work that you are doing. Thank you so very much, Aziz Abu Sarah and Maoz Inon. Thank you for your time and for sharing your incredible story and your incredible bond that is changing lives. Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.